Okay, good morning and welcome to the monthly NEWA State Coordinator meeting for June 2019. This is Dan Olmstead, Extension Associate and NEWA Program Coordinator with the New York State IPM program at Cornell University. Today, Matt Sharp, Strategic Sales Representative with Onset Corporation, will provide an overview of the RX3000 weather station, which now can be linked with NEWA online tools and resources. He will also talk about Onset's Hobolink platform and upcoming product releases that are probably going to be of interest to this group and NEWA users in general. After Matt's presentation, I'm going to quickly summarize progress made on the NEWA rebuild since our last meeting. And with that, I'm going to turn things over immediately to Matt, who may need just a few moments to transition. So let me stop my share, and Matt, you can take it from here.
All right, thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Morning, everyone.
Morning.
All right, so can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, so I just made a quick agenda here. So good morning, everyone. These are the topics that we will be going over this morning. And for those I haven't met yet, my name is Matt Sharp. I am the Strategic Sales Representative for Onset in the agriculture and environmental monitoring markets. A little bit about myself. I've been with Onset for about 5 years now. And my first 4.5 years, I was actually with the technical support group. And then for the last 6 months, I have been with the sales group here. My contact information is here, and this presentation will be linked later, so you can reach out if you need to get a hold of me. So a couple topics, what's new at Onset? We are going to be releasing in Q3 coming up here, starting in July, a couple new wireless Hobonet sensors to go along with our current Hobonet sensors. Introducing will be the wireless leak wetness, which is the last sensor to get a complete wireless NEWA weather station. Some additional sensors, the wireless or Hobonet ultrasonic wind speed. That particular wind speed and direction sensor has no moving parts, very small footprint, easy to install, little maintenance. And we also have 2 additional wireless pulse sensors. These are going to be important when you're moving into for users that are wanting to monitor some irrigation pumps and that sort of thing. And we also have a new weather station actually coming out, and this is going to be available very soon. Actually, the week after the 4th of July week, this product will be launching. So last month actually, Jamie went over the RX3000 a bit, and now we have actually a smaller, easy to use, easy to deploy, very small footprint weather station that we'll be releasing. This new weather station, as you can see, comes in, the starting price is at $560. There is an integrated solar panel, and there's also a battery option. This particular weather station is 4G enabled, so the same data plan from your RX3000 will be available on this micro station here. With its lightweight, small footprint, it's very easy to install. And in fact, this particular station was designed to be installed, by all users within 30 minutes of opening the box. So this is going to be a great solution for a lot of the NEWA customers out there. Just kind of a quick view of what the device really is here. So this view is actually showing the inside of the device with the door actually closed, but that shaded area is going to be your integrated solar panel. The other option is the battery-powered option as well, as you can see there. Inside the MicroRX, you're going to have a small LCD screen, the exact same LCD screen that's in the RX3000. That shows you current conditions when the logger last connected, how many of the sensors are attached, and some other critical components there. One of the great features here is actually, if you guys have installed an RX3000, on the very bottom, we have the integrated plugs here now. So these make it extremely easy to wire up your smart sensors plug-in, and then for the ones that you're not using, you simply plug in the weatherproof enclosure there. So that keeps it nice and weather tight, and also very, very easy to deploy. With the new hardware, there's a couple new features, and one of those new features is the accumulated rainfall alarms. So one of the limitations that we had in the past with Hobolink and the rainfall alarm itself was that when you go into a new logging interval, the alarm would recalculate or restart essentially. So if you had if you were looking for accumulated rainfall of, in this instance, in an hour at 1/4 of an inch, and it started raining at 1/4 till 10 o'clock, let's say, and then it continued through the 10 o'clock period, that alarm would automatically reset at the top of the hour. Now it has a sliding scale. So whenever that rain starts, you got a 6-hour sliding scale. So it's going to continue over the logging interval and provide some of those accumulated rainfall alarms. That's a nice feature that we've added onto this. There's also a optional water level sensor that integrates directly into this particular logger. This actually uses a water level sensor that we have for another product line, plugs directly in, calculates water level, water flow, water temperature, and has an integrated barometric sensor in the weather station itself. And then going into a couple of features that Dan wanted to touch upon in Hobolink itself. It's actually going to show a couple of videos. Unfortunately, we're having a little bit of issue with our audio this morning. So Dan, if you want to cue those videos, you can see if the audio is going to play, and if not, I can just kind of talk through them.
Sure.
So a couple of key features here. Thanks.
Yep. Let me get my shared screen up again.
All right, I'll stop my shared screen.
And let's see here. Share. Okay. Everyone should be able to see this, so I'm going to go ahead and hit play.
Okay. And I don't know if you guys have audio, and if you don't, that's perfectly fine. You can link the videos later and take a look. The first one here is how to create a dashboard. So last month, Jamie should have gone over how to get your RX3000 data feed pushed to NEWA, which is kind of the first step. You start seeing your data on NEWA. One of the other features that you can use in conjunction with NEWA is actually to use the Hobolink software, and in particular the dashboard, to create some custom views. Maybe if you're using frost alarms, that would be a perfect example where you would want to utilize the Hobolink side of the house to view some data. So for dashboards, you can actually create custom views of the sensors that you have. So on your NEWA station, let's say you have 3 or 4 additional temperature sensors spread throughout an orchard, for instance. And in the middle of the night, you're going to get, a frost alarm at certain times of the year. You can actually create a dashboard to go in and view the particular dashboard, or view a particular set of sensors that are only important for that particular event. So for viewing frost, you wouldn't want to view any PAR sensors, solar radiation sensors, anything like that. You can create just a custom view only showing your temperature sensors, which could be very beneficial when you're getting that alert in the middle of the night and you need to take an action. This video is going to kind of play through, and in fact, Dan, you can actually pause this video and just go into the next, because without the audio, it's really me just talking through it there. Another feature, this is the one I particularly like, and a lot of feedback from customers at trade shows and at customer visits, is the map view. So even for frost alerts, so this is a farm that's actually right down the street here in Cape Cod. And they've created a wireless sensor network to use for frost alarms mainly. They also have soil moisture and a couple other sensors out there. But what this view will do is allow you to not only, when you get those alerts, in the middle of the night, you can actually log in and click on the map view and see exactly where in the orchard, where in the field you're actually getting those frost alerts. So in some areas, you may need to take action on a lower lying area first. This will easily allow you to view where those problems are occurring, and you can hit there first and then move on to other areas. So I do apologize for the technical difficulty there on the audio. These videos are very short. Again, they're only 2 to 3 minutes long. They go through how to create all these functions. One other function that you can do in dashboard that I didn't link a video to, and I can share that later, is the reference ET calculation, so with aperture expiration. So with the sensors that you have on your NEWA system, you can simply log into Hobolink, go into dashboard, and create that reference ET calculated channel. And that'll allow you an additional sensor or additional measurement that doesn't natively show up in Hobolink, and I don't believe it shows up on your NEWA feed as well. So just a couple other features that you may not have been aware of that can be useful for you or the growers in your particular state there. So with that, are there any questions you guys have on the Onset products or the Hobolink side of the house?
So, well, other people, if you want to think of questions, that's great. I have a couple of comments, and maybe you can clarify a couple of points just so folks who are on the call can understand how these new stations are working. But you and I have talked offline. These are going to be compatible in the same way as the RX 3000s, correct? So.
Yes, absolutely, and I apologize for not making that clear from the start there. The MicroRX is it's a smaller, easier to install footprint. It has the exact same capabilities as the RX 3000 when looking at it from the NEWA perspective. So just as Jamie went through last month, from how easy it is to incorporate into the NEWA feed, from the hardware side, the MicroRX is a much easier to install weather station. Some of the barriers from some folks I talk to, they get technology anxiety, which is reasonable. This station really takes a look at that type of user, makes it extremely easy to install. You're not going to have a full day install with this guy. It's literally 30 minutes to install there. Now, one of the drawbacks of this particular system, just kind of differentiating the two, is the MicroRX is just the NEWA station itself. It does not have the ability to have the wireless sensors integrated into that. It does have that water level sensor that can integrate, but it doesn't have the Hobolink wireless system. So if you're looking for a medium or larger application, you probably would want to stick with the RX 3000, especially for the frost alerts. If it's just like a smaller farm, or if it's somebody that has a little bit of a barrier to entry is more technology or lack of knowledge for technology, then the MicroRX is probably a better way to get started with weather stations.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we pointed out those pros and cons and whatnot.
Yeah, Matt, this is Art from NRCC at Cornell. So I assume our data feeds to the new stations will be exactly the same as we're doing now? Will that change?
Exactly the same as they're given now. In fact, if you were on last month with the training that Jamie provided, where you log into the station, you go into data feed, you check NEWA from the drop-down menu, and then you choose the sensors. They're all going to be right there, and it's going to push directly in. In fact, the inside of the MicroRX is the exact same as the RX 3000 from your perspective. So
all right, so
it's exactly the same.
Whatever ingest we have to get those into ASUS, then that you've worked with Bill is going to stay exactly the same, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
Exactly.
No work on your part.
And
it's really. Yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I guess the other question along the same line is I kind of picked up on your reference ET. Does that become available as a variable? Is that something we could also grab, or is that something that's kind of done off to the side?
That's done as a calculated channel off to the side in the dashboard function that we kind of touched on. And again, I apologize. The video would have really went through the dashboard features in much greater detail. That's a calculated channel that's actually calculated outside of Hobolink. So the data that you're getting is actually directly from the sensors and Hobolink itself.
Okay.
The dashboard is actually, or the reference EP is calculated elsewhere. So that won't, I can check, let me check on that actually.
Yeah.
There may be a way to get that to feed in.
Yeah, you're using something like Penman-Monteith or a standard equation that from the data that the logger's giving you, correct?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
You're pretty much using a standard equation to calculate that, like Penman-Monteith or something like that. So the
yes,
yeah,
yes, but from my understanding is where it's actually calculated is in a different location. There's a couple different layers to Hobolink where the normal calculations and the data is actually being quote unquote warehoused, if you will. So data warehousing or the calculation for reference EP is in a different area.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not be available to the feed, but it may be. So I'm going to check in on that and see if there's something that can be incorporated as a simple pull from our servers or a push, however that's working there. So.
Yeah, and Matt, if I can just add, I actually pulled up my Hobolink account just
Okay.
to give people a quick overview of where that evapotranspiration is at least
great.
configured. I haven't played around with this a whole lot. But Art, we can certainly follow up after the meeting at some point.
Yeah.
If this is something you're interested in.
And not just a thought. I would, just kind of wondering if, yeah.
Yeah. And while we're on the subject of Hobolink and whatnot, I pulled up my own account because we're starting to do quite a bit. We've got 3 of these RX3000 base stations set up on 3 different farms up here. So we've got that baseline data feed. But last month, Jamie, and then this month, Matt has also mentioned that they have HoboNet, which is a new kind of add-on for these base stations. When it comes to NEWA, we're not at a point where we're ingesting those specific sensors yet, but the idea is to become familiar with this type of system so that in the future, there's really starting to be a lot of interest among agricultural folks in doing this. Is like, how do we handle these new types of data? And so really what you're just seeing here, so within like a 2-mile area, we've got temperature and RH, and you can see that when we start looking at microclimates, whether it's inside an apple tree canopy or it's out in the open with a base station, you start to see a lot of fluctuation. And this is the sort of stuff in the future I'm really interested in considering as we provide new recommendations and whatnot. I don't want to take a whole lot of more time on that, but I'll also just show you the maps that Matt was talking about. So these are, he showed you an example in Cape Cod. This is here in Geneva, New York. This is one of our research farms. So we have a base station, and the way it works is you put on this manager, and then you have all these other different sensor types deployed. So we've got temperature RH, we've got a soil moisture meter over here, and the really neat thing is they basically figure out how to communicate with each other the best way. I have a relay set up down here because in the next week or 2, I want to see how far out I can get. I'm going to put another relay down here, and then I've got 2 more sensors to put down here on another farm that we have. So really, the sensors are a work in progress, but it's something that is very interesting to be looking at moving forward.
Yeah, and Dan, just to touch on something that I was trying to portray in one of those videos there. In this particular instance, if you're viewing it in a map view, which again from the feedback that I've gotten from trade shows and just from customers, having this view is far more useful in most instances than multiple graphs. They like to see exactly where sensors are, like the conditions in particular parts of the field. So like when you go down, when you you get below that, what is that, Castle Creek, and install the next two sensors,
Yeah.
you really start to kind of get an aerial view and see where, you know, some frost alert conditions may be arising, like you saw on the previous, on your graph before there, where you were showing, I think it was RH, but different variations. When you can see it here, and when one of these sensors are alarming, these little blue icons will actually turn red. So that's just a nice feature to quickly view. One of the feedbacks is at 3 o'clock in the morning when the alarm kicks on, you get a text message or an email alert, and you wake up and you're looking. You just want something very, very easy to look at, and you know, going from blue to red is on a map view is a way to go on that.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, if there aren't any other questions, I think just in the interest of time, we'll keep moving with the meeting. But I want to, Matt, thanks very much for doing this. I appreciate the fact that both you and Jamie took the time to kind of give us this orientation to your products and how we can use them within the NEWA environment. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, anytime, if anybody ever has any questions, please contact me. More than happy to walk through, you know, products, applications, whatever I can do to help out. So
Great.
thanks again.
Sounds good. Okay, in the last few minutes of this month's meeting, I just want to provide some very brief updates regarding the website rebuild. I'm going to jump around just a little bit from the way this is listed, but the first thing I want to mention is that I think everybody at this point knows the project is very complex, and we want to make sure we're capturing everything we need to from the user perspective and also on the technical side of things. And so for that reason, we have been granted a 1-year no-cost extension on our USDA grant. We will have a new website in October or November of 2020. This is a change from what I've said up until now. We had hoped to have this done after the 2019 season. But again, there were a lot of really important discussions that needed to be had, and then also listening very closely to what you all and our other end users, the growers, and so on and so forth, felt was very important to make sure we captured for the rebuild. So I just wanted to mention that. So October, November 2020 is the date to keep in mind. So backing up a second from that, what Julie, Carol, and I have been doing, not just in the past month, but really since March, is looking at what's on the current website, talking to growers, talking to extension folks, and some of you about the content that's there, what we really need to keep, and not only keep but emphasize. Are there certain pieces that could be dropped or reorganized to make things go more smoothly visually, or from a logistical standpoint? So all of that whole process is very, very close to being finished. This afternoon, I'm sharing a final document with Julie for a weather station page. So once you've selected your favorite location, right now it has a certain look and feel. Everything we've talked about in the past year and a half with growers has shown us there are other things that we want to make sure get woven into that. So that is the last big piece from a content perspective. What has started right now is that we're opening this up to the larger redevelopment group. So that includes everybody at NRCC, everybody at New York State IPM, and then our third partner in this is Cornell Information Technologies. Everybody has different pieces of the puzzle, but we're going to have a big meeting, hopefully the week after the 4th, to get moving on that. And this is the point where things really start to see substantive changes. Other topic that would be of interest to this group is that user testing of both an existing model, the Apple Maggot model, has been taking place. And then also concurrently, we have been looking at a blueberry maggot model that Julie worked with Alex and NRCC to develop, which has actually been publicly released. The idea is to capture the best of what we have done in the past, and then also make sure that all of the hard work that NRCC folks have done with Julie on the new model is spot on, and that we're not missing anything small. So I know it's been a very long process, but I really do feel at this point that things are going to start surging forward. So with that, I'm sure there's a lot of other things I could cover, but in the interest of time, I'm not going to. When you look at the resources page that I have, where I put up notes and everything, you'll see that for May and June, I have an Excel spreadsheet. What I'm starting to do is I have categories for all the different help topics that come in, and I have a very simple summary for a given month of what all the help desk tickets were that have been closed out addressed. It'll be a work in progress moving forward, but we've had discussions about formalizing that a bit, and I just wanted to let you all know that I'm hopefully going to continue to make progress on that. So when I send out the notes, just make sure you take a look at that. Are there any other questions while we are online? Okay, I'll take that as a no, but as always, if something comes up, feel free to email or give me a call. I'm sure if you have any follow-up questions for Onset equipment, Matt would be happy to work with you. He's our designated sales representative, which is really great. And like he said, he's also got considerable experience in their technical support department, so I think that's a good combination. With that, I'll conclude it, and I hope everybody has a good holiday, and we'll see you at the end of July. Thank you very much.